Oh, such a perfect day. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Seb, I sit here every week. I say we're Ipswich fans. We're not allowed nice things. All the results went for us and the other team missed a penalty. Can we just drink this in this week, please?
Maybe just once we're allowed nice things. Yeah. An excellent day yesterday, and for once, let's enjoy it. We've said it so many times over the last 6-7 years, miserable to our souls. But yeah, hopefully this will be a very, very upbeat one.
Do you remember Dave, Harry from Bath used to say, I don't know what we've all done in a previous existence to deserve this.
I know.
A good day yesterday.
And bless Harry, he must have been off the show like probably a couple and a half years, bless Harry. And yeah, that still holds true until yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, stop it. Welcome, everybody, to the Blue Monday podcast. If you're listening on delay, we thank you for joining us. Do come and join us live, though, on YouTube each and every Sunday at 8 p.m. And you can be in the chat. Say hello to Lee and Charlie and Ashley and Gary and Neil and Veronica and Chris and Tony and Eric and Stuart. There we go. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get into Bolton 0, Ipswich 2. We said for many, many weeks, well, I was very curmudgeonly about this, Seb, to be fair. I don't care if we're beating all the bottom teams. That doesn't win you a playoff. Well, away to a playoff team, and Ipswich win a big game, Seb.
For the first time in how long? How many times have we sat here and said it never happens? Was Watford in the promotion season? I guess is that the last one? Probably. Yeah. Probably. And before that, Charlton, when Man City win the night before, whatever. These things just don't happen to us, do they? We don't do this. It's so unnormal for us. But yesterday, hopefully, was the start of a change of things and just more evidence that things hopefully are going in the right direction and things might be slightly different this season. Hopefully, because we never normally turn like that, do we? Let's be honest.
Momentum and fine margins, Dave. Can we scoop them all up in a big basket yesterday?
I think we did, didn't we, yesterday? And the manager just came out during the week and saying, and also post-match yesterday, and basically said, look, we have been on the wrong side of these fine. He didn't mention luck, but these fine margin games, and it's great for once to see us come out on the right side, and certainly overall thoroughly deserve it also.
We're going to get straight into it. We'll get into the Bolton game, guys. Keep your comments coming in. We'll read some as we go. Don't be upset if we don't get to read many of them. When we do get to the questions segment, though, fill it up and we'll try and do as many of them as possible. If you are watching in real time, do hit the thumbs up button and help us out here on YouTube. Seb, we think we have a strongest 11 now as well. So a lot of things, we'll talk about Wes Burns as well and rotation. A lot of things are getting ironed out that maybe we're not overplayed, but we're worried about a little while ago, Seb. I'll let you react to that. Let me just read this familiar looking 11. Walton in goal, Clark, Wolfenden, Burgess, Davis, Morsey, Luongo, Burns, Chaplin, Broadhead, Hurst. Your thoughts on the team, Seb, and this kind of rotation calming down narrative? Was it always the plan?
Yeah, I mean, we now clearly have a preferred lineup, don't we? I guess the only thing that was up for debate for this one was that central striking position. Would it be Ladapo, the man who was in form? But he started the last two, and it's very rare, isn't it, in a Kieran McKenna side that the striker will play three on the bounce. And he tends to like Hurst for the away game, so that one kind of makes sense. Chaplin and Broadhead, if they're fit for me, they have to start every single game between now and the rest of the season. Burns is a big game player. I know there's been some chat recently for Jackson because he's done very well in that role in a couple of appearances. But Burns always turns up in the big game, and we'll come on to his contribution. And the defence is, imperious at the moment. I know he brought in, Donatian comes back in midweek, but that Clark, Burgess, Wolfenden, Walton, and Davis back five have set a new club record. So, the team at the moment, if everyone's fit, completely picks itself, doesn't it?
Dave?
Yeah, I think so. As Seb said, I think, the only potential position up for debate was the central striking role, and I think Hurst had his best game in a Town shirt probably the last away game at MK probably. So no great surprise to see him start yesterday, and obviously Clark was going to come back in. He was rested obviously for Donatian on. It's great as Seb said on Tuesday. So yeah, he was always going to come back in. So yeah, certainly for me the strongest side.
Huge thank you to Gary in the chat there, $9.99 on the super chat. Really, really kind, Gary. Thank you so much for the support. You can support us just by hitting the thumbs up, but if you want to super chat like Gary has just very kindly done there, we'll be hugely, hugely grateful. So thank you so much, Gary, and chuck a comment in and we'll read it out if you so desire, or you could just be a heroic silent benefactor there. But it's very, very kind indeed. Bench for Town. Harness, Danassi, Ladapo, Jackson, Edwards, Ball, Cladkey. So, Dave, we'd been setting Bolton up as a good side, good process-driven football team. Maybe the most similar to ourselves in the league. That's kind of arguable in their approach. That were completely knackered, basically, through February in the Pizza Cup and lots of away journeys. We'll let you chat about that. Very good defensive numbers, very good home record. They lined up with Trafford in goal, Toll, who's going to be in the Northern Ireland squad, so big up him, Santos and Bete, Jones and Bradley, who's very good on loan from Liverpool, down the right, Morley, Dempsey. Seb has told me Shatire, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, Man United loanee, Adebayo and Dion Charles. Good side, Dave. What's your thoughts?
I think so. Yeah, right through the side. I really like that Bradley first game of the season. I saw him at Portman Road. I thought he was very, very good then. And I mean, and incredible. Well, I say incredibly. We don't see him week in, week out, but you saw some sort of tweets from Bolton fans, basically saying that he's not all that and he should be left out. But flipping heck, certainly on the evidence of what I saw first game of the season, certainly for most of yesterday, he's an outstanding player, isn't he? Really is. Very, very good, and probably the sort of player, if we hadn't got Clark in, that you'd hope we'd be looking at potentially next season. And experience right the way through. Charles will get onto him in a bit, but has always scored goals at that level. So and I tend to agree with it. Probably like for like. Very similar in style to ourselves.
And Seb, there's this feeling that Sheffield Wednesday are off in a tier on their own, and there's not that much between ourselves, Plymouth, Barnsley, Bolton, Derby, etc. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think we all kind of realise now that Wednesday are going to win the league. They are relentless. They win again yesterday. It's a 1-0 victory. I'd be amazed from this position if they end up messing up and dropping it. And the rest of it is a bit of a shootout. I think for the first half of the season, we could say we were comfortably better than the likes of Barnsley, Derby, and Bolton and the chasing pack. But since Christmas, they've caught us right up. So we are currently in a shootout. We've hit form at the right time. A couple of the playoff sides have dropped off a little bit. Derby have hit a bit of a dodgy run of form before yesterday, and obviously Bolton as well. So I think first half of the season we were noticeably better than them. The three sides at the top were pulling clear quite easily, but I think in the last 2 months the narrative has to be that we're all kind of a similar level now and involved in a shootout. I think the playoffs are set. I think the 4 teams who are currently in it is what it's going to be, and it's just a case of who's going to finish where.
Mehmeti and Ainsworth are out of Wickham, right? Do you agree?
Yeah. Now it's going to be a case of who's going to finish where.
Yeah, agreed. Bench for Bolton, and they recruited well in January, didn't they? Especially bumping up their striking options. Williams, Jerome, you can still find him punishing us, or attempting to at least. Lee, Edlin Dula, who we liked at Cheltenham earlier in the season and last season as well. Kachunga, who've come across many times as well. Thomason and Sheehan. Seb, you were at the game. Why have I gone to that view? Let's not do that. Seb, that doesn't suit my nose at all, does it? Seb, you were at the game. Just talk to me a little bit about the atmosphere and the away following, and take us through the early exchanges.
The away following was in great voice from minute one. I was a bit disappointed with their crowd, considering they're off to Wembley and it's a big game. I kind of thought they might try and make it hostile and kind of have a decent crowd, but there were lots of pockets of empty seats, and it wasn't until about halfway through the first half that they had a drummer pipe up in the home end. But the away end was in superb voice. We were all in the upper tier. The lower tier wasn't open this time, so the concourse was nice and busy. The pubs around the ground were nice and busy, and the opening exchanges, we were very loud. It was quite a scrappy game, I thought, for the first 10, 15 minutes or so. 2 very similar style of plays, both playing out from the back, and 2 sides that kind of neither could get a real rhythm into the game. There was very much little happened for the first 10 minutes or so, and we just kind of grew into the game a little bit, but the opening exchanges were two sides, almost like a heavyweight boxing match where you try and kind of feel out your opposition a little bit, and you struggle to get into any kind of rhythm. That's how I'd explain it. The conditions didn't help. It was bitterly cold, and then the rain and the snow and the sleet all start falling during that first half, so that didn't help either. But it was a pretty even, scrappy, non-eventful game for those first 10 minutes or so, and obviously Bolton have the first chance of the match, and from then we grew into it really nicely, I thought.
Dave, we've wanted, and hopefully this is not confirmation bias, but we've wanted Kieran McKenna, who's come from Man United with all these beautiful patterns and great coaching ideals, and then midway through the season, we're all saying, hang on a minute, the Paul Warne and Stephen Schumacher understand the hybrid nature of League One, that you don't necessarily control games with the ball all the time in League One. Sometimes you play the penalty boxes and you don't make any mistakes, right? And do we feel, from what Seb is saying, in a tight game, the durability is coming out a little bit more now, or is that just my confirmation bias?
No, I think it is. And that just comes with continuity, doesn't it? Continuity of the first 11, really. So, yeah, I think so. And it's very, very interesting that McKenna came out midweek, didn't he? Because even during the, during the Accrington game, there was some, and it was, it came out in our Telegram group, didn't it? Some nervousness, let's say, at some people about playing out from the back. And to be fair, McKenna came out midweek and explained in fairly great detail the philosophy about overload, 10 versus 9, etc., beating the press that way. So that was quite interesting. But no, I think that just comes with a settled first 11, Ben, a first choice first 11, and as good old Harry from Bath, second mention on the pod tonight. Partnerships, partnerships developing, within that 11.
I'm going to say,
most notably in central midfield.
I think this one's worth either a what a goal or a lovely goal, Dave. How good is this goal? Sorry. And by the way, we came on the pod and I said to these two guys before, guys, let's not be breaking our arms, slapping ourselves on the back, and it's me doing it now, isn't it? But brilliant goal to take the lead.
Oh, mate, this is all good. It's given away but not in a bad position, is it? I mean, they're pressing this. I think it's in better. He gives it away, plays a bit of a no look, or tries to play the ball sort of left. I don't think he gives it a look. Just doesn't strike it. Burns is really alert. I mean, Burns is picking this ball up really in the right.
Yeah, they're trying to overload us.
Yeah, no, Burns is picking. Burns picks this ball up.
Good looking situation for them.
It is where they are. No danger. All right, he's giving the ball away there, but Christ, he hasn't given the ball away 30 yards from his goal. But what it does, Burns gets the first touch, and he has just got clear grass to run in, and he takes it on, as we know he can. Probably gets to about, on an angle, probably 30 yards from goal. Hurst is, I mean, you see it, you watch it back, and Hurst is just making the run. Hurst just makes a run from deep, straight away, straight line. And what is really good, Burns kind of gets his head up and puts the ball in a really good area. And it's so good from Hurst, because Hurst just gets across George, I call him Santos, gets across Santos. And the finish.
Ricardo Santos, yes.
And the finish is just sublime, isn't it? It's I describe it a picture goal, isn't it? It really is. From the chip ball, Burns, for once, no disrespect to Burns, doesn't try, he just gets it completely right. It's just a chip ball in, and the movement, the late movement from Hurst, and the skill, that is such a hard skill, because he cushions it in on the volley. It's an absolute brilliant goal.
And Seb, I want to get into Burns here, because I think people get into these awful binary positions in football debate, don't they? Of, right, I've made this position, I can't ever change my mind. And, it's like, this is now a big gotcha moment because we got this great assist. It's not. There was reasonable concern, let's just say, about Burns, about those brilliant high levels he set. And the guys are saying in the chat as well, I'll put some up in a minute, about turning up this carry in a big game at the right time. This is brilliant, because I've been raising them as well. Shuts me the hell up for now, doesn't it, on Burns?
Yeah, it was excellent. He actually hadn't started that well in the first sort of 15 minutes or so. He wasn't great. There was one decent chance he had to put a ball across, and he just knocked it way over the goal. And he wasn't amazing. But as soon as he picks the ball up and he's just got a clear run, you know exactly what he's going to do. And he is a big game player. We've discussed it on the pre-match show before. If you're going into these big games, these tight games, you need your big players to step up. And yet again, he's delivered when it matters. Okay, he's not scored as many goals as he had last season, but I think his assists are probably double what they were were last year. And let's not forget, last year, everything had to go down the right-hand side, didn't it? So, of course, he's going to look amazing because we had no outlet on the left. This year, it's more varied, and that may be why we're noticing a bit of a drop-off in performance. But yeah, like Dave said, it's an excellent goal. You know, he looks up, he's direct, he's running down the wing, he puts the perfect ball across, the finish is superb. Oh. And yet again, he's delivered when he needs to, and Hurst proving why, you know, he's come from a Premier League side and, you know, has got that quality for that kind of finish. To hit that across the keeper at that pace when the ball's delivered without touching the ground is absolutely phenomenal technique, isn't it? Phenomenal technique, and it's an amazing goal. And that goal didn't flatter us, by the way. You know, we were, after about the first, they had the chance where Sonny Bradley gets into the box. Conor Bradley gets into the box and Walton sticks out a big arm. But after that, we really settled into the game. Some of their defending was last ditch, throwing themselves in front of stuff with last ditch blocks from Santos. And we, you know, 1-0 at half time, by no means flat. You know, we were excellent. We fully deserved that goal. And I think even the most diehard Bolton fans would agree that, you know, 1-0 at half time was a bit of a let off for them, because we really settled into that game nicely and took the ball to them. I took the game to them.
Do you know what, Seb? After that, I'm a bit disappointed we didn't win by 4.
Stop it! Stop it! I'm just going to read out some comments quickly on Hurst here. Sorry, there we go. Hurst movement all game, superb goal, epitomised it. Some great alternative angles. Phil from All Stands Burns was rapid. Hurst was utterly brilliant yesterday. You can see exactly why we chased him reportedly all summer. Hurst, so classy. A number of times Burns has messed up his crosses this season from great positions. Then he does that yesterday. Big game player for sure. There you go, Gary. We will read his comment because he's super chat earlier. 5 wins in a row, 6 clean sheets. Scored 14 goals since we last conceded. Lovely
Gary,
start.
They will, Gary, though. They will, you know.
Goal of the season.
They will.
What an unbelievable finish. Now, this is almost the more important bit for me when we get into the second half. And Dave, Kieran McKenna's said it's I suppose it's a good lesson, isn't it, about managing emotions, because the players didn't think it was a corner in the build up to this penalty, and then they're playing emotionally. And let's be frank, unless anyone, I can't imagine anyone in the chat's going to say it wasn't a penalty. It's absolutely nailed on, isn't it? But what's your take on it?
It was a bit clumsy. It was a good bit of play, wasn't it? Again, Bradley again, wasn't it? A good bit into play in and around the box. And it's kind of a weird one, because until I saw it back, you think, the first has Davis fouled him, because Davis sort of gets in it's a bit odd, gets in a sliding tackle and does almost a 180, and it sort of spins back to Bradley in the box, and then it's just a bit. I mean, I think Burgess was again magnificent. Yeah, we'll get on to Burgess in a minute. Fairly magnificent, or pretty much all game. But yeah, it's a clumsy challenge, and it's a penalty, isn't it? It is really. Yeah, he doesn't. It's a difficult one because he has to make the challenge. But yeah, he's a clever player, Bradley, and he catches him. As I thought it was pretty nailed on.
And these are the big moments, Seb, aren't they? Because we don't want to be accused of breaking our arms, slapping ourselves on the back, because we know a free shot from 12 yards at 0.77 XG or whatever it is. If the striker sticks it 1.5 meters off the ground and hits it hard, they score, don't they? But still, big moment. And Walton was excellent yesterday as well. Charles normally scores his penalties, though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's not been in form recently. I think when I was doing the research for the pre-match show, he's got 15 goals for the season, but I think he's only got 1 in his last 6 or so. So he wasn't in great form. And what I liked about this penalty was there was a little bit of S-housery from us, which we don't normally do. You know, Walton gets
kicking up the penalty spot.
Yeah, Walton scuffing up the penalty spot and gets a booking. Chaplin standing on the edge of the D, screaming at the ref that the ball's not on the spot properly, and all that stuff, as we saw with Chaplin in the Sheffield Wednesday game. All that stuff can get in the player's head, and it's a poor penalty, isn't it? I mean, we're in the other end up high, so we're looking right at it. It's a great view for us. It's not a great penalty, it's pretty poor, and you know, Walton gets down and pushes it out. He doesn't tip it round for a corner, it goes back into play, so you're kind of still a bit nervous about the second phase, but we managed to escape. And yeah, that was celebrated as much as the Hurst goal, you know. And when you look back on seasons, hopefully if we get where we want to be in May, if we, you know, when you look back at these moments, that's going to be a huge moment in the season, because they started really strongly in that second half. Bolton came out, as you would expect, because they weren't great in the first half. They weren't great all game, to be honest with you, but they came out in that second half and really looked to take the game to us and get into us. And if that goes in, as we know, that it could be a completely different remaining 40 minutes of the match. And just like at Cambridge, Walton saves us a little bit, and whereas there we go on to equalise, here we maintain our position on top. And you could noticeably see the fans, the coaching staff, the players, all our lot grew a few inches, and all their lot shrunk a few inches. It was a huge moment that went our way, and we went absolutely crazy when he saved that.
I think you could tell from his post-match that Everett gave them a hairdryer at half-time. No doubt about that. And you're right, they just came up, really were at it for probably 10, 15 minutes, but made the save. And but we've said it before, that old cliche, you earn the right to play, but you do made the save, weather the storm, get headers, get blocks in, and go and play again, which we did, didn't we?
It's another good kind of trending up narrative I like. We mentioned Burns, and we mentioned, McKenna maybe learning the arts of League One that he obviously didn't know a year ago. Dave, September, October time, I had Mike Cooper and Christian Walton neck and neck as, possibly the top two keepers in the league. And do you agree? It kind of went like that, and Cooper went really
he did.
Brilliant, and Walton just dropped, but he's trending up nicely now, isn't he?
You know what, Ben? We've spoken in the pub before this run, before this 6 game run, not conceding. We said how we thought that psychologically the Charlton game had on the team. I think it had a big psychological effect on Walton more than anyone. He definitely was at fault, certainly for 2 of those goals, certainly the last one, the one where he sort of parried it out. I think, and certainly up till then, I agree, him and Cooper fairly neck and neck, and then Cooper was just on a different level for anyone else, wasn't he? But no, you're right. He's obviously in the last few home games, he really hasn't had that much to do, but he was probably his best game of the season yesterday at the right time, which was superb.
And fine margins, momentum. I'm going to say it again, Seb. What's the player who concedes the penalty about to do?
Yeah, it's more great play to win the corner. Hurst is back to goal up against the man mountain Santos. He flicks the ball to Broadhead, who gets a decent run through. I don't think the shot from Broadhead was going in. We were right, kind of in line with that one. I think it was going wide, but Trafford tips it wide, and then it's the corner. And I absolutely love this header. I love it. Leif Davis, perfect delivery again. 10 assists so far for the season. We've scored something like 20 goals from set pieces now, and Burgess is so committed to get on that. He absolutely throws himself at it. It's a proper bullet header. Keeper's got no chance. He starts his run round about the edge of the box and gets onto it round about the penalty spot, and it's an absolutely brilliant header. And again, we all go absolutely crazy, and all the players around at the advertising hoardings going crazy, because we knew that was pretty much it. Then they'd offered very little since the penalty. We had a couple of half chances. The Broadhead one that was tipped wide was the best of them, but we kind of knew at that point very unlikely they'll get back into this now, because they weren't really offering anything. They were making unforced errors. Simple passes were going out of play. The conditions were worsening, and Burgess scoring that header was absolutely superb, because we all kind of knew at that point it was job done. And again, it was absolutely fully deserved. Okay, we had the storm after half time, the first 5-10 minutes where we were really kind of on the back foot a little bit, culminating with the penalty miss. But after that, it was so comfortable, and it was more a case of how many would we get rather than them pulling any kind of goals back. It was the icing on the cake of a superb first 70 odd minutes, and it was again fully deserved. I think even the most diehard Bolton fan, like I said at half time, they wouldn't have disagreed that 2-0 was flattering.
David, I'll bring you in. Let's just say a big thanks to, right on cue, he's here every week, our good friend David with a €10 super sticker. Huge thanks to David, who literally sends us a super chat every week. Really, really kind. Dave, I'm hearing everything Seb's saying. We had it up on the monitor where I was, and I'm still going, how can we mess this up?
I bet you were. I bet you were.
Dave,
you sure you weren't leaping around the ITV studio like Righty was at BBC last week after the Arsenal game? I can imagine you. We
can hear him sometimes. Yeah.
I can imagine you jumping into Hugh's lap or something like that. But no, as Seb said, getting back to the goal, it was a great goal, and he just runs off his man, and he's so committed and absolutely buries it. Brilliant header. And I think the difference yesterday, probably we scored exactly the same time pretty much as we did up at Sheffield Wednesday, but the difference there, they didn't have the partisan crowd. It was, I know we reflected back on those, 2 points. Well, we say 2 points lost, 2-0 up. The crowd were certainly the extra man for Sheffield Wednesday. But as you said yesterday, Seb, they were fairly quiet, very flat. So I think after that, we pretty much saw the game out relatively comfortably. Another great save again was it from Jerome? Did Jerome come on and get a header?
From the header, yeah.
Which Walton, another great save, pushed it away. Harness looked like that'd have been a good goal if he buried that one in the top corner. No, just a superb. And yeah, you go on a 4-game run. We said, look, the next 4 games with the Bolton, after the Bristol Rovers game, with this Bolton game coming up, we need to put all these sides to bed. Achieve that fairly comfortably, and then for once kept the momentum going, which is just superb. And I think first 5 game, I did a bit of research here. 2003, 2 games in that, which I didn't realise. That 5-game winning run in the autumn, I think, of 2003 included the 6-1 home game against Burnley, and better still, the 4-3 game at Crystal Palace. But Cucci lobs one in to be bundled on at the end. Yeah, so that's Christ, it's 20 years. That's a long time. But yeah, superb. And
brilliant stuff. Let me just bring the numbers up then, because this makes very interesting reading in terms of getting the job done. So Bolton 56-44 on the possession in their favour. Bolton, look, obviously we know the penalty is 0.77 of their XG, don't we? But it is what it is. They created more than we did. And Joe's always talking about game state. He's right. If that penalty goes in, that we have 10 XG. If you know what I'm saying. But 1.12, 0.96 clinical, 18 shots to 6. That's always nice when you've had less possession. Everything else very tight. Seb, when I was thinking about this game, and I hate to bring Norwich up, I'm going to bring Norwich up because I remember covering the Championship a few years ago. I didn't know how good Norwich were. And then they went to play this away game at Leeds. And I'm like, oh, here we go. They get found out today. And I kind of learned what a good side does when they're put in a tough position. They just turned up and absolutely bossed it. And I thought, Seb, going into this game, do you know what a good side would do here? They'd show up and win 2 or 3-0, wouldn't they?
Statement, yeah.
And that makes me very, very excited. But we must parlay the missed penalty into our thoughts around what was obviously a very good performance. But just give me your final summings up before we go to Dave, Seb.
As Dave just said, it's a statement win. We were excellent. We were a cut above, I think, on almost every area of the pitch. Everything that McKenna did was excellent. Sometimes we've seen recently with subs coming on, the performance levels have dropped a little bit, but each of the subs he made just, raised even higher, if not maintain the consistency. And we turned up in a big game. We absolutely dominated. We absolutely bossed it. Had it been 3-0, 4-0, maybe they couldn't have any kind of complaints. The penalty is a huge moment, not only in the game, but potentially in the season as well. For once we come out on the right side of it, and now going into this, the other games we've got coming up with Barnsley, Derby on the horizon, Peterborough, I guess maybe in that bracket as well in mid-April, we suddenly go into it with renewed confidence. We all sat here after the Bristol Rovers game and we said, we know what we've got to do now. We can have no excuses. We simply have to go on a winning run. Okay, we swapped the likes of Morecambe and Forest Green, all the rest of them to one side pretty comfortably, and we thought this would be the first real big test. Let's not forget, Bolton had something like 40 points from their home form so far this season and only conceded 9 goals, which is the best in the league. Yeah, phenomenal. And we absolutely made them look very ordinary. They were at arm's length all games. Their fans were very complimentary afterwards. On the brief walk back out the car park, back to the car, they were saying that we were the best side they'd seen so far this season, and we schooled them, and we did. I think we can take real confidence in this, and hopefully it can be a huge moment we look back on in the season come May, as that's the point when the momentum really started to swing our way.
Follow that, Dave.
No, I mean, you can't. You disagree with it all, really. I think that very complimentary. All their social media, Twitter from the fans and everything else have been very complimentary. Yes, of course, and I think we all, as you said, we all acknowledge the missed penalty was a turning point. But they said, look, overall, you deserve that. If you call it luck, whatever, you deserve the win, thoroughly deserved it. So absolutely superb. And of these games, I think you have got to perhaps include that Peterborough away game, but these 3 games, Barnsley, yesterday.
Can I just say, Dave, sorry to interrupt you, that Peterborough game, I think they could be on the beach potentially by then. I'm
Yeah,
not.
I mean,
Hope
Do you
so.
know what I mean?
they're all
They
over the
could be out
place,
of
aren't
reach
they?
of the.
No, I agree. No, absolutely.
They'll either have won 8 on the trot, or they'll be on the beach.
You just can't see it though, can you? They're all over the place. Particularly the result. We'll get onto that. There's a goal in that game. Goodness
Oh,
me.
stop
But
it! God, yeah.
well,
A certain striking
two
performance
goals in that game. But my word.
League One, yes.
No, it's no, absolutely superb. And to win, to get, going into those tricky 3 away games, to get 1 win under your belt, perhaps the pressure's off slightly. A point maybe at Barnsley might not be the end of it might not be the end of the world if then you can go and Derby and perhaps get a win.
Dave,
So
we're going to do permutations to death in a minute. Don't you worry about that. Seb, one thought I had and everyone's going to moan and they're going to boo me in the chat, but I think Bolton are highly likely to finish 6th now. And if we were to miss out, what does that performance yesterday do to a potential playoff 3rd versus 6th against Bolton?
Again, it's a statement, isn't it? We've kind of got that monkey off our backs that we can go away to these top 6 sides and get a result. I think they're knackered. They looked quite knackered yesterday. They've played so many games in a short period of time that you assume they'll recapture some form before the end of the season, maybe going on how the Pizza Cup final goes in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah,
I'm going to that.
If it does end up that we're 3rd with 90-something points and they scrape 6th, we can go into it with full confidence. And to be fair, I think I'd say that about any of the sides in the playoffs, because unless Wickham S-house their way to 6th place, I'd be worried about them in a playoff semi, because I remember what they did to MK Dons last year. But Barnsley, Derby, Bolton, I'd be confident against any of them, because we know on our day we are probably the best side in the league. I know we said in the green room we wouldn't be over the top, but I think yesterday's performance was that good, that much of a statement, and that much of a kind of a message to the rest of the league that when we need to, we can turn up and absolutely boss things. I think that's a great message to send out to the rest of them.
You would. I know we don't want to go down this route. I'm going to move on very quickly. You would much rather play an away playoff leg first against a team like Bolton, who are more patterny and process driven, than Devante Cole and James Norwood running all over you and a Paul Warne side, wouldn't you? Let's just put it out there that way. But hey, guys, we're going to have a little look at League One. Then we're going to get into your questions. And as we normally do, we'll go through the results. I suspect there's one in particular that the boys are going to want to focus on from yesterday that did very, very much go in our favour. And that is right at the top of my running order. If I get to it, Barnsley 3, Plymouth 0. Although we'll play both sides of this and we'll come to all of these at the end. On the one hand, Plymouth slippy away from home. On the other, Barnsley, since October the 29th, are the second best team in the league, and only Sheffield Wednesday. They're trending better than us at the moment. But hey, we're going to discuss bits and bobs about that. Burton 2, Wickham 1, which, as Seb points out, is possibly good news. Still a 6-point gap to the playoff. Charlton 1, Accrington 1. I'm sure a lot of us have got our eyes on Plymouth versus Accrington, and Accrington hopefully getting a draw then. Again, we'll get to the permutations in a minute. Exeter 2, Lincoln 1, and a goal that I'm sure enraged Dave in that one. Fleetwood 1, Port Vale 1, Forest Green 1, Bristol Rovers 3, ouch. MK 1, Cambridge 0, double, ouch. Oxford 2, Derby 3. I don't know whether that means Derby are back. Peterborough 0, Cheltenham 3 with a Alfie May virtuoso show. Pompey 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. They just won't leave off. Shrewsbury 3, MK 1. Dave, sorry if anyone wants to hear. I don't feel the need to talk about Sheffield Wednesday. Fine, they win every week and never concede, whatever. What I will say about Sheffield Wednesday is their next 2 games are Bolton and Barnsley, and we'll start mentioning them again if they don't win either of those games. But Dave, what's your take on Barnsley 3, Plymouth 0?
Yeah, well, Plymouth certainly aren't travelling well at the moment, aren't they? They shipped 5 goals at Pompey, the other
Peterborough.
Peterborough. Sorry, not Pompey. Peterborough. That's 8 goals in the last 2. 8 goals in the last 2 home games. But as we saw the other night at home to Derby, they're just relentless at home, aren't they? Absolutely relentless. But I mean, I would say their away form is very much a worry to them. And I think Is that Accrington game home or away? That's away,
It's
isn't
at
it?
home. No, it's at Home Park,
Oh,
isn't it?
I think it
Or
might
is
be.
it away?
I
Dave,
think that's
I'll bring them
away.
up. Yeah, that's a hard game if that's away
I
anyway.
think
They've got Shrewsbury away as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think that Accrington game might be away. So that's certainly no. And I think that's midweek as well, isn't it? Because they're getting all caught up because of the Pizza Cup final. So yeah, it is. So that's certainly no given. So yeah, I mean, they must have in the back of their mind kind of what happened to them last season. I mean, I think we're in it pretty much right up till getting done. 5-0 by MK last regular game.
I'm sorry, so unlucky. 80
So,
points, 7th.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
ridiculous.
But yeah, got done by MK last game of the season. So yeah, you would think that's a sort of linger there. Then obviously they're not going to drop out of the playoffs, but yeah, I mean, and you look what else this run of us has done. I mean, the change in goal difference is just
That's a good
mad.
point. It's a very
Absolute
important
madness,
point.
isn't it?
That, yeah, if it's
We got
tied,
17 plus 17 on them now. Where I think before this run, I think we were pretty much neck and neck. So yeah, they'll be looking over. It's still theirs to lose, isn't it? Looking at it, it is still theirs to lose
Can we
because
be,
they're so
Dave,
good at
can
home.
we be very clear about this though? If you take Plymouth's, Ipswich's, and Barnsley's fixtures, you forget everything you know about this season, and you say that's a mini league between the three. Plymouth win it, right? On paper and on the fixtures. I know there's a million other variables other than that, but the fixtures are now in Plymouth's favour. We have to be very honest about that, and we have to be very honest about we're off to Barnsley. Well, we can talk. I'm sure it's going to come up in the questions about that potentially getting called off, but we're off to Barnsley and off to Derby, and they are not.
I mean, you can just see Plymouth just getting it done up from their home form, and perhaps just picking up just enough points away to get over the line. However, you we put Shrewsbury away on Saturday, and then you're getting into this run of games with Barnsley after winning 6 on the trot. It's tough to call, but Ben, you're right. If you take them the 3 and the fixtures they've got to the remaining fixtures they've got, you'd still have Plymouth. I think someone gave us some sort of what's come kind of XG or whatever it was. Was it our odds now finishing second have suddenly gone up to 32 or 33 in the low 30% now, where I think literally 2 weeks ago they were sort of down like 15 or 18 or something like that. Yeah, I mean it's going to be so interesting. You're right. It is a 10-game shootout. Well, 12 for Barnsley, but between us and Plymouth, it's a 10-game shootout, isn't it? And don't forget, Plymouth have got this preoccupation of this, obviously the Wembley weekend coming up. Yeah,
which is April the 2nd,
the week before Easter, isn't it? Yeah,
it's the weekend we're at Derby, isn't it? So
yeah.
Well, look, we've got preoccupied by it already, but what I did want to ask about, Seb, was Derby, is that a turn back, or is beating Oxford no great shakes? Have they just kind of gone off the boil a little bit for you to be less worried about them?
They had been recently, haven't they? We've now opened up another gap. Is it 7-8 points clear of them now? So obviously we've still got to go there. They've dropped off recently. I mean, Oxford, apart from beating us in the fog, I think they hadn't won in 10 or 11 games, have they? They've been in an awful run of form and really getting sucked down into. Obviously, they've appointed Liam Manning, but he wasn't involved. He was observing from the stands, so I guess they showed a bit of fight for him. But yeah, Derby are a strange one. You wouldn't be surprised now if they went on a run of winning 7 of the last 10 or whatever. Paul Warne is schooled at this level. He knows what he's doing, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But I'm not worried they'll get close to us now. I think we've opened up enough of a gap now. I'm quite glad that one of Barnsley's games in hand is against Wednesday. That helps massively as well, obviously, because hopefully Wednesday will do us a favour.
Sorry, can I just cut across you there? Because we're already getting questions. This is great. Get your questions in now, guys. If the Barnsley game wasn't called off, that would be the end of a 3-game week for them. They would go Wickham away, Wednesday at home on the Tuesday night, and then us. There's almost an argument you don't want it called off. You want them facing us at the end of that week, don't you?
Yeah, I'd rather, obviously,
So.
if we lose Morsey, Burns, Broadhead, Lee, whatever, call it off. We don't want to be playing without those three key players. But if our players don't get called up, by all means, play it. The form we're in, the momentum is building. I'd want to get that one boxed off, because the likelihood is as well, we were discussing it on Telegram earlier, if it is postponed, you're probably looking at the last week of April before they can fit it back into the schedule, and all sorts of things could change by then. So,
Seb, do you remember last year in the Championship, the postponed game ended up being Forest Bournemouth?
Yeah.
The Wednesday before the last week of the
Yeah.
season. It was basically a promotion decider. You're basically sticking a playoff final in at the end of the season before the playoffs even start, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the only time it can fit into the schedule. So if we can play it, and if Broadhead and Burns don't get the call up on Tuesday, if Morsey he's in the preliminary squad, if he doesn't make the final cut, then get it played. Let's go there. We've set out a statement yesterday. Let's go there, do that again, and put them to bed.
His players dropping out of that Welsh squad. You see, I think Brennan Johnson's an injury doubt. He got a knock over the weekend.
Johnny Williams is retired today, hasn't he? So that's another diminutive attacking midfielder who's not going to be around. So I think the likelihood is they probably both will get a call up.
The that Accrington, that Sheffield Wednesday Barnsley and the Accrington Plymouth games on the same night, isn't it? 21st.
I'm going to the Barnsley Sheffield Wednesday game. Actually, I will be there across that one. So
are you going to do a what have I just witnessed?
No, I'll do a match vlog. I've kind of retired those, but I'll do a match vlog. Right, guys, get your questions in. I think the first one was Lewis. Is the Barnsley game likely to be postponed? Morsey, Lee, Broadhead, Burns. It's going to be we've been here before, Dave, didn't we? About, do you call things off? Do you not call things off? I agree with Seb that if you have the chance to call it off, you call it off. Whatever the circumstances are. But it's an interesting debate with that Barnsley week.
What is the criteria at this moment in time? What is the criteria?
It's three, isn't it?
It's three
internationals. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, looking at those four mentioned, you wouldn't want to go into that game without three of those, would you? Get crikey, you just call it off.
Well, also, part of me thinks that if you're on a good run and you can remove a very hard away game out of that good run, that will help you to.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. Let's do some more questions. Norman, you got me in all sorts of trouble last week, so I'm still going to read your question though. If all our midfields are fit and on form, who would be our best midfield pairing set?
Well, we don't know about Kamara. We've not really seen him play, have we? I think it's Luongo and Morsey, because I think you get more out of Morsey when he's got that physical player alongside him. Evans, I guess you lose that kind of sweeping crossfield pass out to the fullbacks, but Luongo is so experienced. Yesterday he was excellent. Not great for the first 10 minutes, then he again really grew into the game. Took a booking for a challenge that I thought was harsh. I thought he won the ball and just managed his game superbly for the rest of the rest of the 90 minutes. So I think if it's Morsey and Luongo for the rest of the season, I've got no issues with that whatsoever. And great to see Don Ball back on the bench yesterday as well. We've got those bodies coming back in now, that if something does happen, if Morsey kicks somebody against Shrewsbury and misses a couple of games, then Don Ball can come back in, and suddenly we've gone from being properly down to the bare bones in the centre of the park to having a few options. But Luongo for me has been absolutely superb since he came in. Him and Morsey for the rest of the season are absolutely fine by me.
Get your questions in, guys, and we will go through them now. Mullet, which team in the top six won't look at us now and fear playing us? I don't think Barnsley will be scared of us at home, will they, Dave?
No, I don't think so. Not the run they're on. No, I think they'll take on, as they showed with Plymouth yesterday. They're up and ready for anything, aren't they? And a particular James Norwood.
He's playing very well.
I know he is. I know.
We've seen those Mike Duff Cheltenham teams, and it's all about a front two running all over everybody, and he's perfect for it,
especially
isn't he?
with Norwood prowling the penalty box as he has been. Yeah, no, they won't fear us. Not the run they're on at the moment.
No. Dave, sorry, Seb. Might be controversial. I think Morsey needs to be rested. Need to start Luongos and Humphrey to Shrews, in my opinion. Dave's shaking his head. What do you think, Seb?
I wouldn't. Shrewsbury's not going to be an easy game. They've been on a great run of form recently. For me, Morsey and Luongo, and he's been pretty good. He's not been booked since Cambridge, let's not forget. And he's still putting himself about. And there were a couple of times yesterday I kind of saw him almost going in for a challenge, and everyone kind of winced at the same time. But he manages it quite well. And Shrewsbury's the last one, isn't it? After Shrewsbury, he's clear, isn't he? He will go.
Yeah, he is.
15 bookings. So if he's done it for the last, when was Cambridge? Start of Jan, 2 months ago now. Then I'd have him in there. You're not going to drop your captain. Shrewsbury is not a gimmick. It's not a Forest Green or whatever. Shrewsbury's going to be a difficult game.
Shrewsbury can score 2 goals past you just by getting 4 corners.
Yeah. We need Morsey for that one, without a shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely. You can't leave him out.
Neil, I sometimes give out my Glenn Pennefather Invisible Man of the Season award. Is it premature to give me George Edmondson?
I haven't heard anything, but I certainly saw him wandering down the touchline on last Tuesday in a protective boot. Whether it's still a reoccurrence of that ankle knock he had from last season, I don't know. But I haven't seen anything in the media about Edmondson. Have you? Was anything said after Tuesday? Have you seen anything, Seb?
I've not seen anything for weeks. I think he mentioned it a few weeks ago, saying he had an injury, but then I think he came back in for one game.
I think he did.
I think he dropped out again.
But no, he's obviously he was hobbling, but he had a protective boot on. Going down the touchline on Tuesday. So I mean, it's just given Cameron Burgess the opportunity, and he's grasped it with both hands, hasn't he? Really.
I'm sorry to Zoroark and Marty. I'm going to conflate 2 questions here. How much copium have I inhaled thinking we can win 9 and draw 1 for the rest of the season? Marty, this is a great question. Everyone keeps telling me how easy Plymouth's last games are. I think playing teams fighting for the lives of the bottom will be hard, and they think, what do you guys think? That's a really important question, which I promise I'm going to make a Benjamin Bloom spreadsheet and do some research on this tomorrow, because there's nothing I like more than debunking a myth, but he might be right. It might actually be true. But the point I think we need to get to here, guys, is about drawing, isn't it? That drawing between now and the end of the season is absolutely worthless. And that if there's 10 games to go, win 7, lose. The point I'm making here is it's okay to lose some games. Obviously, who you lose them to is kind of vital when you've got Barnsley particularly coming up and Derby. But what are your thoughts? We'll go to both of you on this, actually, on this idea that perhaps, and we've given Accrington as perhaps Accrington more of a danger to draw against you than Peterborough are. If they're on the beach, you might beat them 4-2 because they don't care. Where are you with this, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this in the pub yesterday. My only fear would be, having seen the sides. Yeah, I was driving. Yeah, so I mean, I'm innocent on that one. Having seen the sides at the bottom of the league in recent weeks, I know we're saying they might scrap for survival, but there is a lot of dross down there, as we've seen. So I don't have much hope in them sticking one up, Plymouth at any point, because I think Plymouth's overall superior quality would shine through. I guess you never know. Nobody probably said back in April 1999 that Crewe would come to Portman Road and do a number on us, did they? But it did happen. Things do happen in football sometimes. So having seen what the bottom of the league is like quality-wise for the last 3 years, I have to say I don't have that much hope in them putting up much of a fight, because I just think League One is such a strange 2-tier league, and the bottom is really poor and the top is really good. And hopefully, like you say, they might scrape a few draws, and that will kill them with both the momentum and obviously give us a chance to properly overtake.
Dave, I agree with Seb. I just countered by saying Cheltenham and Accrington could draw against a top team, but just sit behind the ball. Do you know, those are the 2 I think.
Well, maybe.
And Cambridge drew against us, didn't they?
Maybe, they did. I mean, maybe it's a bit of a bleep yesterday, but crikey, look what Cheltenham did at Peterborough yesterday, for goodness sake. So they certainly got the firepower. We know that. And Accrington, well, I mean, I thought we played really well. I thought they weren't great down here last Tuesday, but I thought again we just in the end played and passed them off the park, to be fair. But no, they're quite capable of picking up results. But it's you're just looking at Plymouth and just the home, it's just that home form. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Dave, sorry to interrupt you, buddy, because I always tell you off for doing that. Pete, someone said in the chat there, I've probably lost it there. These type of runs, they don't just continue forever, do they? No. And Seb mentioned Ipswich just ridiculously losing at home to Crewe. There could be, and don't get me wrong, there could be one in there for us. We could lose to Shrewsbury. Do you know what I mean? But there could be one in there for Plymouth where
who's the only team? Who's the only team that win at Plymouth? Port Vale, I think.
Port Vale, Fleetwood Drew.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Port Vale, for goodness sake. Well, yeah, we won't get onto that. They've got to come here as well. But no, it can happen. But I don't know. They've just got that relentless belief at home, haven't they? You know, I've never quite known a home run. It's like Liverpool bloody 70s and 80s run. It's ridiculous.
Well, Watford
But,
in the Championship
yeah,
got
I mean,
promoted a couple of years ago just on just beat everybody at home. That was
just
it.
beat everyone at home. But they're very, very fragile. Certainly very fragile away. And yeah, you can see them certainly dropping 2 points, given their current away form at Accrington.
Well, I'm speaking to a lot of Plymouth fans on my YouTube channel, Seb, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I'm projecting 15 points out of 5 games at home," and I'm like, "Hold on a minute,
Why wouldn't you?
that's not leaving you any margin for error at all, right?"
Yeah, very much so. They're home for I don't know what the split is, how many away games they've got versus how many of the home games they've got in the final 11 or 10 games, or whatever it is left now. But yeah, if they keep up that home run, then yeah, I think it is.
I think it's 5 and 5. It is 10 more games,
right.
and it's 5. I believe it is. Yeah.
Dave, does Hurst now go on a scoring run?
He did at Portsmouth. That's what he did at Portsmouth last season, wasn't it? I think he had a fairly barren spell up till Christmas, by all accounts. Not quite sure how many appearances he's made, and then, he was off and running. And I think he finished. Yeah, and you'd know this, Ben, but didn't he finish the season something like in double figures in the end? I think sort of 10 goals in 15 games or something like that. So, yeah, let's hope. A goal, mate, scoring a goal like that can only give you so much confidence because it was such a great finish. So. Yeah, but would it surprise you come next Saturday that Ladapo starts up front? Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's quite a good seg to Kev's question then. Do you think the rotation saga, especially up front, is over now? No. We're on a good run. Saga. I don't think it's a saga anymore, to Kev's point. Seb, what do you think?
No, I think they'll drip in and out. I think Hurst will be favoured in the away games, like he seems to have been for the last couple of weeks. But like Dave said, I could easily see Ladapo starting against Shrewsbury and then going straight back to Hurst for Barnsley and Derby away.
Yeah.
It's a good question, actually. David, do you think if we get ahead of Plymouth in the league, do you think we stay? That is a really good point. I think for Plymouth to get automatic, they have to stay second from here on. I think if they drop out, they're done. Do you know what I mean? I think that might knock the stuffing out of them.
I think you're right. I think
keep
if
the
they
questions coming, guys.
I think you're right. I think if they dropped out, they could get usurped by us and Barnsley. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, for sure. Especially, obviously given the result yesterday as well. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. That. I think you're right, Ben. I can see them not even finishing third.
Interesting. Keep the questions coming in, guys. We're all over these permutations, aren't we? Come on, let's do it. Let's bring up Plymouth's fixtures. I said we wouldn't do it, but we're definitely gonna do it. We can do some more questions. So, and this isn't too much fun because obviously, look, Forest Green at home. Ignore Bolton away. That's in the Pizza Cup. Accrington away. By the way, Morecambe have got a very good home record and will make you defend.
Yeah.
And I'm really clutching here. Lincoln are really well organised and they're a proper. I think there's more chance Plymouth lose at home to Lincoln than they lose at home to us.
Only team to beat us, at home.
Exeter's a derby as well, isn't it? You never know. Yeah.
And
Shrewsbury's a tough place to go. Is that the Easter fixtures, those two? Oh, no, it's the week after, isn't it?
No. They've got Morecambe and Lincoln. They are. Look at their last 2 games, though. We've got to get past them. Cambridge at home, Bristol Rovers.
Yeah. Well, Cambridge, yes. Bristol Rovers, they can
score
West. That's classed as, I would assume, a southwest derby. So, yeah, that's not a given. So, yeah, actually, looking at those fixtures, I'm sort of heartened by those fixtures. And perhaps not the cakewalk I thought they might be.
Right, I'm going to bring this up. Pete is asking about Barnsley as well. And my answer to his question is you should be more worried about Plymouth. And this is the reason why. Because I think if Barnsley were to finish second from now, I think we will all agree that we're going to sit here on the podcast, stand up out of our seats and say, well played, you lot, because they have Wickham away, Sheffield Wednesday, then us. Okay, they go to Exeter, Morecambe. Burton's never easy. Shrewsbury are going to have a say in this. And then if I go to the last page, Peterborough at home on the last day, you wouldn't want that, would you? But in terms of Barnsley, I guess, Dave, it's just getting through this run they've got now of God, sorry, let me bring it back up, whatever it was. Wickham, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich in the next 3. They've almost got to get 4 or 5 points from those 3 games, haven't they?
And then again, it is Plymouth because as we know, again, our cliche is
points on the board.
Points on the board. Points on the board. Yeah. Yeah, of course it's Plymouth.
Any more questions? Any more? We will keep rolling on through. Where will we finish in the Championship next? Well,
Ben, you need to answer that question.
Yeah, it's one for you.
What is a very good point is making the comparison to Rotherham, Wickham and Sunderland. And you would hope, especially given Sunderland won at Carrow Road today, that would be something we would all aspire. Just relegate us and give us that one win and we'd all be happy, wouldn't we? But you would think, Seb, we would be more similar to Sunderland than although actually, to be fair, Rotherham are going to stay up, aren't they? So I would think it wouldn't be a relegation battle, would it, Seb?
I don't think so, because when you look at the squad now, we've recruited so cleverly that we've got probably, what would we say, 2/3 of the current team we feel might be able to make the step up into the Championship. And then, of course, you have to add some quality, probably especially in the striking and one of the centre back positions. But yeah, we've kind of recruited. The likes of Wednesday have recruited specifically to get out of this league, and they'll worry about the Championship when they get there with a kind of relatively ageing squad. We've gone the other way, and we've got players who you feel that could make that natural step up. And I'd be pretty confident. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think we're going to be Sunderland doing very well. I'd be surprised if we were kind of gate crashing the playoff positions this time next year. But I don't think it would be a relegation scrap. I could see us pretty comfortably 10th to sort of mid-table in the Championship, looking to consolidate and then really push on based on the investment the following year. I don't think we'd be in a fight at all.
So you're looking forward to Carlisle away. August the 3rd then, Dave.
I mean, you talk about gate crashing.
Maybe.
It's the Championship, isn't it? The Championship this season is about 15 teams gate crashing the playoffs, isn't it? Although it's starting to stretch, I guess, a little bit from I don't know what, 8th down, is it, Ben? Starting a little bit, 8th, 10th maybe. But to answer your question, I think you'd be looking to strengthen up front. But yeah, with certainly the likes of Clark, the likes of Broadhead coming in, you're looking at players that you
Walton,
think,
Clark.
Davis, you're looking at players that could easily hold their own in the Championship. So just got to make it happen.
Right, let's do this. We're going to bring up Neil's comment. We're going to look at the fixtures. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to tell you that I quite like us against Shrewsbury at home. I wouldn't like to be going to Shrewsbury, but I think we'll keep them away from Leahy and Dunkley and Pennington and all the guys,
those corners.
Yeah. Obviously, those next 3 is minging, and we need to understand that losing one of those and winning 2 is brilliant. You can lose one of those games. It's draws that are going to kill you at Derby, at Barnsley, Derby, and Wickham. Then, if you do get through that, Cheltenham, okay, they can sit in, and yes, Alfie May could score. Charlton are done, aren't they? Port Vale, okay, they've got Harrison and Taylor and Wilson, some good strikers. Peterborough, I think, will be on the beach. I'd rather play Peterborough away than Cheltenham away, to be honest, strangely. Exeter, I like. And if I can actually get this to change page, which it's absolutely not going to do, annoyingly. Oh dear, it won't take me to the last page. What's the
just Fleetwood, isn't it?
Just Fleetwood. Okay, just Fleetwood.
Fleetwood.
By the time it gets to the last game, you've just got to be in it, and then it just is what it is. But it's those next. It's the 3 Wickham. After Shrewsbury, it's Barnsley, Derby, Wickham, and can you get 5 or 6 points, Seb?
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I think maybe you don't want to go to both those games and draw one. Like you said, you'd much rather lose at Oakwell and win at Pride Park, and then you've kept it all going. If we can get through Shrewsbury,
can
Barnsley,
we do it the other way round, Seb?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just in terms of the rival.
if we can get to Easter Monday, having taken 7, 8, 9 points from those games, then we're into the home straight. I don't see too much to fear after that, to be honest. Peterborough, like you say, hopefully will be on the beach. I know it's never a great place to go, but hopefully they'll be on the beach. And the likes of Charlton, Port Vale, Exeter, Fleetwood should be relatively straightforward. It's all going to come down to these next 4 games and see what we can do. If we can get 9 points from those 4 games, then we'd all be absolutely over the moon.
Oh,
I mean, what's going to
Dave?
get it? I mean, so points wise, then what do you think's going to get it done? So 20 points get it
Oh
done.
my
92,
Yeah, I
92
think so.
surely.
No.
No,
I think Plymouth will be there.
no.
No, look, bring the table up. I don't know why I'm asking you to bring the table up. So 1.8 for Plymouth would take them to 92. They can do that, can't they?
You would. That just well.
It's 18 points.
You would think so.
1.9, and then you're at. Do you know what I mean? So we know 2 points per game is very good, and they're at 94, and they're capable of doing that. We want them to go to 1.5, which is I don't think about 89 or something.
So
isn't it?
seven wins will give you 90. Well, 7 wins and a draw is going to give you 90.
And that's Dave. That's how you've got to look at it, isn't it? 7 wins is 21, which gives you 93. Yeah. And if you don't go up with 93, Seb, you go fine. Well played. I don't know. I don't know what we've got to do.
So you have to applaud Plymouth and say fair play to you, and look to go again in the playoffs. But after yesterday, we shouldn't fear anybody.
No, we absolutely shouldn't. Sorry, guys, we got a bit sidetracked and got very, very excited. But hey, you don't blame us for all looking ahead. And what I would say, Dave, is this run now has not guaranteed anything. But what it's done is it's scrubbed out the bad run that came before it and put us back in the conversation.
Yeah, it has.
That's the size of it, isn't it?
You know, you're back on 2 points a game.
There you go.
You're back on 2 points a game.
And on that note, as we come up the hour, Seb, I think we will finish there. We're going to be back for the it'll be the preview show, won't it, for Shrewsbury? Dave's got his hand up. Does that mean I need to read something out?
I think you probably need to mention that the Ipswich ladies had a great win earlier this afternoon.
They won 3-0 against the London Bees to go top of the league,
top of the table
to the men. It's now 5 wins in a row and 5 clean sheets. A brace for Freya Godfrey, and Sarah Bracero Carrera got the other one. And by the way, the merch store is 20% off until midnight. I'm not even pretending. I'm not just reading it off the
great stuff. The Richards drum must have been working overtime this afternoon at the AGL.
He bangs the drum. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Very, very exciting pod for once. It goes our way. We win the big game. Last word from you, Seb.
Goodbye, everybody.
Dave, last word from you.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Looking forward to the next 30 points.
Oh, such a perfect day.